Bismillah. Welcome back. I'm your host, and today we're walking further down the Sufi path, looking closely at a very specific map of human nature. The Quran gives us a clinical portrait of the human factory setting in verse 19. It says we are wired with something called halua, a deep innate restlessness, a tendency to constantly fret and clutch. This condition presents with two entirely opposite symptoms. When hardship so much as brushes a person, they come apart in panic. But when good fortune touches them, they shut their hand tight, hoarding what they have. The Quran offers this as a clinical diagnosis. It describes the universal human condition with the dispassionate accuracy of a physician's chart. Behavioral economics maps this exact asymmetry under the term loss aversion. This chart shows how our brains register loss versus gain. Notice that the psychological pain of losing a set sum of money is roughly twice the magnitude of gaining that exact same amount. Classical mystics read the same behavior from the inside. They saw our constant reaching out for wealth and security as a misdirected spiritual homesickness. We grab at things because the soul hasn't learned what it is actually hungry for. Then the text pivots on a single word: accept. It swings the door wide open, shifting the focus away from the clenched fist of our anxieties toward a clear portrait of the open hand. We are not sentenced to a life of bracing for impact. Escaping that anxiety isn't about being born calmer. The open hand is a skill, built through a set of practices that reorganize our grasping. The text provides an architectural blueprint to cure the restless soul. Notice how two pillars appear at the edges. The list begins with prayer and ends with prayer, holding every other practice securely between them. Steady prayer requires a continuous inward presence, a thread of remembrance that remains after the physical movements of the prayer have ended. Inside that frame, the text asks for a haq malum, a known, settled portion of wealth. This is money set aside entirely by choice, a standing appointment with generosity made before any external law demands it. Modern behavioral science confirms why this works. When people pre-commit to a charitable rule in advance, they save and give significantly more. Making the decision early completely bypasses the ego's impulse to hoard in the moment. And that fixed portion is destined for the visible beggar, but also the invisible poor, the person whose dignity is louder than their hunger. You must seek them out because they will never come to you to ask. Scheduled giving is a dual-purpose mechanism. It feeds the vulnerable person who needs it while training the giver. One regular loss at a time, it teaches the clutching ego that the hand can open and you will still survive. Keeping this discipline intact requires a delicate balance of the heart. You have to weigh a genuine fear of your actions' consequences against a deep hope for divine grace. This dial shows exactly where that balance sits. The text asks for mushfikun, a tender, protective dread. It steers clear of the frantic red zone of panic, avoids the numb blue zone of complacency, and rests perfectly in the center as a calibrated, caring concern. We can see this tension mathematically too. In Arabic, every letter is also a number. By summing these values and reducing them to a single digit, their digital root, the text reveals a quiet arithmetic where words share a conceptual resonance. Both the transgressor and the upstanding one share the digital root of 9. They meet at the same moral boundary, sharing the same number, but they face in opposite directions. Our spiritual destination is determined not by the boundaries we encounter in life, but by our conscious choice of which side of that line we stand on. The text concludes with the reformed person being held in honor, at peace in gardens of grace. They have been transformed from a clutching, restless creature into one who is welcome. Watch yourself honestly for just one day. Where does a minor hardship make you come apart and catastrophize? And where does a bit of good fortune make you quietly close a hand that you could have opened? Look around you. Who in your own life is waiting to be noticed? Who is too proud or too tired to ask for the help they clearly need? Finding these tight, clenched reactions inside yourself is not a failure. Every single one of us has them. The only actual failure is refusing to look. Try a small practice for the next 7 days. Choose a fixed portion of your money, or a fixed half hour of your time, and give it away on a strict, predetermined schedule. Do it without any daily renegotiation. The size of the gift doesn't matter. What matters is the strict adherence to the schedule. That friction is exactly what breaks the ego's habit of grasping. By the 7th day, pay attention to how your body reacts. Notice whether that scheduled release has started to feel less like a painful loss and a bit more like breathing. We ask the one who made us restless to still the reaching in us by turning it toward him, to give us the tender dread that steers us true, and to frame our days with the steady prayer that holds everything else in place. True inner peace is not a perfectly calm state we are born into. It is a grace that we build, day by day, through the discipline of the open hand.